how's it going everyone? This is the Anime Man. So the other day I received an email from one of you lovely motherfuckers talking about a certain topic that caught my interest. So today I decided to do a discussion video on the contents of said email. First, let's read it through together. Dear Joey, in many of your videos you've talked about how anime, especially light novel adaptations, tend to be very similar to each other. You seem to think it's a bad thing to the anime industry. I, however, disagree. Growing up, I became comfortable with the idea of teachers giving me a general direction and a title. I will write a story based on that title. I'm not a good writer, but I've seen people write brilliant pieces using the same title as I did. I'm a big fan of not only light novels but web novels in general. I've observed the same thing in these novels. For example, many of them have the same first chapter. A guy died and saw a god, the god sent him to a different world with some kind of cheat. However, are these cliché really that bad? I often find really good entertainment that are based on the same setting. Some overpower the main character and make 500 chapters of good jokes. Some have a psychotic main character and drop readers' sand level. Trust me, I've read a lot of novels that have dropped my fucking sand level. I argue that with the settings already been proven to work and most readers have sufficient knowledge of the world viewed, the writer saves a lot of time and stress to create a good novel. Please look into this from a different perspective. Maybe you can see the comfort in reading familiar settings with creative explorations. Bowman C. So to put it in grossly simplified terms, Bowman here is asking the question, is stealing ideas from anime really that bad? If authors reuse and recycle ideas, settings, and motifs that have already existed in commercially successful series, then they can create stories with less stress, less explanation to the viewer, and with higher production frequency. And again, since it is based off of already commercially successful ideas, then said recycled works will not only benefit the author, but will also benefit the consumers who are practically asking for more of this kind of content. Right? Okay, Bowman, if that is your real name. You do make some good points here and I definitely see where you're coming from. But since you asked for it, in my humble opinion, that's nothing but wishful thinking. Yes, for now, these commercially successful series will work in repetition, but for how long exactly? It's common knowledge that a single trend doesn't last forever, especially in an ever-changing and ever-growing medium like anime and manga. You can go back only a few years ago and see that what was hot and trending back then is probably completely different to what is hot and trending right now. And if we go back even further, the route of change of what is considered trending and hot in anime and manga starts to seem a little bit more apparent. I mean, nowadays, as everybody knows, the big thing is the isekai genre, or the otherworldly genre. We have series that have made it huge in the mainstream in recent years, like ReZero, SAO, and a plethora of other anime. And that trend is still being powerful, especially with the more recent series like In Another World with My Smartphone and the Rising of the Shield era. While each anime has its own individual differences, all of them fall under the isekai genre since it does technically have the same kind of style and theming. But 10 years ago we were talking about series like Lucky Star, and that series accidentally starting the trend in Japan of going to real life anime places in Japan. With the uprising of big indie movie directors bursting into the scene like Kon Satoshi, Shinkai Makoto, and Hosoda Mamoru among many others. While 20 years ago we were talking about what we now consider modern classics like Princess Mononoke, Cowboy Bebop, Kakume Shoujo Utena, as well as the start of the huge Pokemon craze as a result of the enormous success of Pokemon the first movie. Man, that movie was my goddamn childhood, and to think that that was 20 years ago. Fuck, I'm old. And even if, hypothetically speaking, a single trend can last 10 years, 20 years, 50 years, there's a limit to how much you can continue to recycle the same kind of themes, settings, and motifs before you start to see legitimate and straight up duplicates, which is something that is very unforgiving and taboo, especially in an extremely competitive world like the light novel, manga, and anime industry. As a community starts to grow and change, so will the trend in that medium. And at the current growth rate of the anime community, especially the international anime community, you guys, I think that change is going to be inevitable. Now yes, do keep in mind that what the international community deems to be hot and trending doesn't exactly reflect what Japan thinks is hot and trending. And that what the international community thinks is hot and trending isn't probably going to waver how future creators in the anime, manga, and light novel world are going to create their content upon. Since the manga and anime industry still greatly looks at the Japanese audience first, since that is the first point of sales and their first point of results that they see upon viewing what series is trending and what is not. But I think as the international community grows more and more, we are going to start to see more and more creators and industries looking towards the international anime community, since there is a huge hidden market there. How long will that take? I don't freaking know, but I really hope it does come soon. I think the word experimentation is really important when we're talking about this topic. This word right here is basically the reason why ideas and trends change in the first place. And the fact that these current ideas and trends in the anime and manga world are a result of this word. You have to remember that without any such experimentation in ideas, motifs, and settings, anime and manga today would probably still look like anime and manga back in the 40s and 50s. Like, think about it. Imagine if in the current year of 2017, you went to your favorite anime streaming site and you saw that your favorite modern anime looked and felt like The Tale of the White Serpent. The answer to that question is a whole lot of nothing, because you probably didn't get that obscure as fuck 50s anime reference. Point is, you probably won't get all that excited about your anime waifu if she looked less like Shinobu and more like Bainya. Unless you just happen to grow up with The Tale of the White Serpent, in which case, you still watch anime? And even then, speaking realistically, the idea of modern anime still looking like anime from the 40s and 50s would be impossible. Since regardless of how little experimentation happens within the anime and manga industry and within anime and manga creators over decades, the world around us is constantly changing. And what's usually the first thing that, regardless of whether you make manga, whether you write a light novel, whether you make anime, whether you make any kind of creative piece of medium, what is the first thing that most creators look towards for inspiration and ideas? That's right, the real goddamn world. I think Miyazaki Hayao, the mastermind behind Studio Ghibli and its films, said it best in his infamous "anime was a mistake" quote. I've seen a lot of people misinterpret that quote in thinking that he meant that the legacy that he built and the things that he did as a living was a mistake overall. And TLDRing it, basically saying, I fucking hate anime and everything that I ever did with my life. But if you actually look at the bigger picture, or you watch the original interview with Hayao Miyazaki when he said that quote, that's not the case at all. Creators like Miyazaki are famous for drawing inspirations of Studio Ghibli films from only real life ideas and inspirations. Real people, real settings, real stories. And because of this, he strongly disagrees with this idea that anime and manga creators today, aka anime today, borrows ideas and draws inspirations only from pre-existing anime and manga, which Miyazaki claims has led to blander world building, cliche and just very bland anime characters, and overall boring anime and manga. And I think that message kind of relates somewhat to the topic at hand here. Sure, borrowing or stealing, whichever way you want to look at it, ideas from already pre-existing and trending anime and manga may be less stressful on the creator and may require less brain power for us readers to understand and immerse ourselves into. But I think by doing that, it loses that spark of what these creators are trying to do in the first place. I personally don't see much of a point in creating something using a pre-existing template that you know is going to be successful so long as you follow the rulebook that comes with it. If I felt like that, then I would literally just go on and make videos about trending topics and trending ideas, rather than talk about this meta discussion video on why I wouldn't do that in the first place. What? And sure, there may be some creators who just want a little bit of that dough and don't really give a shit about creating something unique and original, regardless of whether they're creating anime, creating manga, or even building their YouTube channels. That's completely fine. You do you, boo-boo. But I, for one, don't want to do that. And I'm sure there are a lot of anime and manga creators, like Miyazaki Hayao, who don't want to do that. It's like getting someone to paint your picture for you. I feel that's not my work. That's not my creation. However, rest assured, one thing I will say to people like Bowman and any people who agree with Bowman in series that do borrow / steal ideas from pre-existing anime and manga is that I think it's okay to do those things even in the long run, so long as the author at hand is skilled enough to make it seem like it's not a copy of a pre-existing work. I honestly don't think that just because a series borrows ideas from another pre-existing series, then that series is automatically bad or terrible. In fact, there are a lot of series that I can see took inspiration from a pre-existing anime and manga, but I still think it's fucking awesome. I think it's the whole reason why movies like Inception by Christopher Nolan are still loved by many people today, even though technically speaking, it does borrow/steal ideas from Satoshi Kon's Paprika. Even if two authors wrote the exact same story, it still wouldn't be the exact same story because these two authors have different ways of writing and articulating these ideas to the audience. That is, of course, unless you also copy another pre-existing author's way of writing as well, in which case that's just fucking straight up plagiarism. So don't do that. Again, I don't exactly have a problem with reading stories with similar ideas, similar settings, similar motifs, so long as it is written in a new and unique and interesting way. That's the whole reason why, even though I do realize that Inception is a copy of Paprika, I still love Inception just as much as Paprika. But eventually, we're going to want to start to see something that's actually new and unique. People's tastes in anime, manga, light novels change over time. Sure, you might say that I'll always like the isekai genre regardless of how much recycled ideas there are. It won't be the only thing you consume, especially if you're into anime, manga, and light novels as much as you claim to be. I'll fully admit that my tastes in anime, manga, light novels, and all that have changed over the 4 years that I've done this YouTube channel, and regardless of whether you like to admit it or not, yours have probably changed just as much as well. So, are anime ripoffs really that bad? No. With the accelerating rate of anime and manga production, especially in today's industry, seeing series that do borrow ideas, settings, and motifs from pre-existing ideas, settings, and motifs is going to be inevitable. But should we keep producing anime ripoffs? No, I think it's nothing more than a temporary solution to a permanent problem. If creators keep doing this and keep recycling and reusing and drawing inspirations from pre-existing anime and manga, we're eventually going to see straight up plagiarism happening. Either that or us, the consumers, are eventually going to get bored of the trend and are going to start asking for something different. I think we can all agree that the bottom line is, regardless of whether you do use a pre-existing template or not, writing stories is fucking hard. And I think regardless of whether you do agree with a series that does copy or even worse, steal ideas from other pre-existing series, their creativity and their dedication, I think, should be praised. But guys, let me know what you think about this. Do you think series that do draw inspiration or copy or steal, however you want to phrase it, is something that is forgivable or something that should be stopped immediately? And what do you think is the real solution to this anime ripoff problem that we might have? Obviously, guys, let me know all that kind of stuff in the comments below. And hey, Bowman, thanks again for the email. And since you do seem to be one of those people who are really interested in the isekai genre or the MMORPG genre that is so big in today's anime and manga industry, then you might be interested by this little sale that's happening over at today's sponsor, Bookwalker. Right now on Bookwalker, they have a fantastic Life in Another World sale where they're putting on sale a bunch of isekai, MMORPG genre manga and light novels for a pretty good price. Until August the 30th, you'll be able to save a ton of money on some awesome isekai themed series, including Zero no Tsukaima, Grimgar of Fantasy and Ash, In Another World with My Smartphone, The Rising of the Shield Hero, and many, many more. You can get Volume 1 of any series for 50% off, and Volume 2 and any subsequent volumes after that for 20% off. And better yet, for those of you who stuck around to the end of this video, if you use my coupon code TheAnimeMan at checkout, you'll save an additional 500 yen off your purchase. Mind you, this coupon code can only be used once and is only limited to new users. So go ahead, click that link in the description below if you want to check out some awesome isekai, MMORPG themed series, manga, anime, light novels, all that good shit. Anyways guys, thanks for watching. As always, like and favorite if you enjoy, subscribe